Hello again, and welcome to Broadcasting Scotland. It's Monday, the 9th of October. I'm Andrew Wilson, and welcome to Scotland at 7. My apologies for the late start this evening. This evening, I have the latest daily update from Ukraine on day 593 of the illegal Russian war of aggression and imperial ambition, and then I will take a look at today's headlines from Scotland and around the world. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has replaced the commander of Ukraine's territorial defence forces, which have played an important role in helping defend the country since Russia's invasion. A presidential order published today announced the appointment of Major General Anatoly Barhilevich as the new commander. A separate order announced the removal of General Ihor Tantsiura, who had been in the post since May 2022. No reason was given for the decisions. Zelensky has appealed at the NATO Parliamentary Assembly for the international rule of law to unite and deal with terrorism, comparing the attack by what he called a terrorist organisation on Israel with the similar tactics used by Russia, which he said was a terrorist state. Zelensky had expressed his solidarity with Israel in a call with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday. Denmark's Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, made an appeal to the West not to get war fatigue, saying, "Brave Ukrainian men and women are fighting on the battlefield. They are the face of right against wrong, of good against evil. We must be with Ukraine to the bitter end. None of us can claim war fatigue while Ukraine continues its tireless fight." Russia has claimed to have thwarted 5 attacks by Ukrainian armed forces near Liman and Torsk. Russian forces in occupied Luhansk claim to have killed 50 members of the Ukrainian service personnel in the process. Ukraine has claimed its armed forces repelled a Russian attack in Novoprokopivka in the Zaporizhia region. Over the summer, Ukraine has almost certainly liberated at least 125 square kilometres of territory in the eastern area of the country, according to a UK Ministry of Defence intelligence update. The Ukrainian Air Force spokesperson, Yuri Inat, has said that he expects a record number of Russian drone attacks on Ukraine this winter, as Kyiv prepares for a second winter of mass bombardment of its energy facilities. And the Polish president, Andrzej Duda, has said that the current violence between Hamas and Israel is useful for Russia in diverting the world's attention, and it works in Russia's favour. Israel has declared a complete siege of Gaza, cutting it off from water and power supplies, and launched hundreds of strikes on the Palestinian enclave as Hamas claimed Israeli bombings had killed hostages held there. In a statement today, the Israeli Defense Minister said, "I have ordered a complete siege on the Gaza Strip. There will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. Everything is closed. We are fighting human animals and we are acting accordingly." Palestinian fighters are believed to have abducted more than 100 people during a surprise multi-front attack in which they killed more than 800, making Saturday the deadliest day in Israel's history. In response, Israel has launched strikes from the air and sea, which medics said had killed more than 560 Palestinians in Gaza, an area home to 2.3 million people who have nowhere to flee. Separately, about 120 miles north of Gaza, Israel said its forces had fought off a gunman crossing from Lebanon, an incident that raises the spectre of a second front in the unfolding war. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu formally declared war yesterday and called up 300,000 reservists for duty, signalling a possible ground assault into Gaza, a move that in the past has always brought further bloodshed. However, Israeli forces face the unprecedented task of fighting an urban war, while dozens of hostages are likely to be hidden in tunnels and basements across the Gaza Strip. Abu Ubaidah, a spokesperson for the armed wing of Hamas, confirmed the worst fears of the Israeli public today when he claimed that Israeli bombardment had already killed 4 of the enemy's captives and their captors. Qatar's foreign ministry said it was in mediation talks with Hamas and Israeli officials, including over a possible prisoner swap, and a state-run newspaper in Egypt reported the Egyptian government was negotiating a release of female detainees held by both sides. Neither Israel nor Hamas confirmed that they were in talks. The captives are known to include civilians, including women, children, and older adults, mostly Israelis, but also people of other nationalities, and soldiers. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan, has said that dozens of American citizens, largely dual nationals, are among those held captive. Hamas's attack, in which assailants rampaged through the heavily fortified frontier and shot unarmed civilians as they encountered them, has left the Israeli military scrambling to regain control of its territory. Palestinian militants have continued to fire hundreds of rockets deep into Israel. Today, 2 days later, the Israeli army declared its forces were in control of towns and villages in its southern territory, although a spokesperson acknowledged that militants could still be hiding inside Israel. Saturday's attack caught Israel's vaunted military and intelligence apparatus off guard, bringing gun battles to Israel's streets for the first time in decades and shaking the country to its core. Once across the frontier, militants moved several miles into Israel and killed civilians indiscriminately. Zaka, an Israeli rescue service, said it had retrieved at least 260 bodies from the site of the Supernova Music Festival near the kibbutz at Re'em, close to the Israel-Gaza border. Images and video from the site showed festival goers running across open fields as Hamas gunmen targeted them. The parents of the First Minister, Hamza Yusuf, are trapped in Gaza following the renewed violence between Hamas and Israel. The First Minister's wife, Nadia El Nakla, is of Palestinian descent, and her parents, who live in Dundee, are now trapped in Gaza after travelling there to visit family. Mr. Yusuf said he did not know whether they would make it through the night. They have been told by Israeli authorities to leave because Gaza will effectively be obliterated. He said, adding that despite the efforts of the UK Foreign Office, nobody can guarantee them safe passage anywhere. The First Minister said, "I'm in a situation where, frankly, night by night, day by day, we don't know whether or not my mother-in-law and father-in-law, who have nothing to do, as most Gazans don't, with Hamas or with any terror attack, whether they will make it through the night or not." Visibly emotional, Mr. Yusuf made an unequivocal condemnation of the Hamas attack. A list of transport projects to be funded using HS2 money, which included schemes that had already been built or were swiftly deleted, was intended only to be illustrative, the Prime Minister has said. Speaking to the BBC, Rishi Sunak repeatedly dodged or refused to answer questions about the list, which was published alongside his announcement that the northern leg of the HS2 rail link will be scrapped. Announcing the HS2 plan during his speech to the Conservative Party conference in Manchester last week, Sunak promised that £36 billion saved from HS2 would be used for other rail, road and transport links. Among projects cited were an upgrade to an A road to link Southampton, which in fact goes to Littlehampton, to extend the Metrolink tram to Manchester Airport, which happened in 2014, and several projects which were swiftly deleted from the list, including a £100 million for a mass transit system in Bristol and reopening the Leamside line in County Durham. Sunak told BBC Radio 2's Jeremy Vine show that the list had not been mistaken or misleading, saying that these were just examples of the sort of plans that might be included. There's a range of illustrative projects that could be funded, he said, but ultimately it's going to be local leaders who are in charge. Rather than Westminster politicians dictating to areas what they should do, lots of money is going to be given to local areas for them to decide on their priorities. Sunak otherwise sought not to engage with questions on the transport projects. Asked whether he had pledged to quadruple the number of trains between Sheffield and Leeds when there are already up to 5 an hour each way, he said, "I'm not sure I recognise the numbers." Rachel Reeves has told the Labour Party conference that they will fight the next election on the economy, claiming she would be the Iron Chancellor who would help rebuild Britain after 13 years of Conservative rule. Her conference speech had very few new policy announcements. Instead, the Shadow Chancellor set out her plans for economic nationalism, which she said would grow the economy from the bottom up and the middle out in the interests of working people. Reeves said she did not underestimate the scale of the task ahead for Labour as it attempted to overturn the Tories' massive majority at the next election. Change will be achieved only on the basis of iron discipline, she said. She pledged to wage a war against fraud, waste and inefficiency, saying that a Labour government would slash government spending on consultants, which is almost quadruple in just 6 years, and that will raise about £1.4 billion in bringing in new rules requiring departments to make a value for money case. She said a Labour government would more robustly enforce the ministerial code on the use of private jets, saving millions of pounds of taxpayers' money in a dig at Rishi Sunak's frequent use of private aircraft to fly around the UK. Reeves also said that in government, Labour would introduce a series of major policies, including a new fiscal lock on ministerial spending, speeding up the planning system for major infrastructure, including the electricity grid, and a range of already announced tax policies. Responding to Rachel Reeves' Labour conference speech, the SNP's economy spokesperson, Drew Hendry MP, said, "Just like the Tories, the Labour Party's vision for Scotland fails to offer households any meaningful support during this Westminster-made cost of living crisis. The need is urgent, yet they have failed to recognise the suffering and make tackling this a priority. Keir Starmer's commitment to Brexit, austerity, and cruel Tory policies like the two-child cap underline that regardless of whether he or Rishi Sunak enter number 10, households across Scotland will continue to suffer." The Labour Party has been raking in donations from business leaders and wealthy donors over the last 3 years. The campaign has been spearheaded by the Labour peers Wahid Ali and by Tony Blair's former chief fundraiser, Michael Levy. Their efforts have returned a few new Labour-era donors to the fold to support Starmer, as well as a large number of new donors. The new donors include David Sainsbury from the supermarket dynasty, who has been a Labour peer since 1997, and who donated a couple of £1 million a year to Labour during the new Labour era, and served as a science minister for 8 years under Blair. He largely stopped donating to Labour during the Jeremy Corbyn era. He became the largest single donor in political history when he made an £8 million donation to the Liberal Democrats in 2019. Under Sir Keir Starmer, Lord Sainsbury has firmly become a Labour donor again, giving £2 million last October and then £3 million in April. His daughter, Fran Perrin, is also a major Labour donor in her own right, giving over £1 million to the party under Starmer's leadership. Gary Lubner, the former boss of Autoglass, the car glass repair company, gave out £2.2 million last May and is believed to be contributing more than that again before the next election. Dale Vince, the founder of gas and electricity supplier Ecotricity, has given at least £1.4 million to the party through his company since 2014. Ecotricity gave small sums throughout the last decade, but its contributions really ramped up in the Starmer era with a £500,000 gift in October last year. Sir Victor Blank, the former chair of Lloyd's TSB, has given £175,000 since 2020, much of which was used to fund staff for the Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves. Blank previously donated £150,000 to Ed Miliband's election effort. Martin Taylor is a hedge fund supremo who contributed £600,000 during the Miliband era. He has been funding Labour centrally, but is giving more to the Labour Together group, including £100,000 in July. Stuart Roden, best known for his time as chair of Lansdowne Partners, has given £180,000 to the party. Wahid Ali, who made his money in TV production and is a Labour peer, has led the party's fundraising efforts under Starmer. He has given almost £300,000 in the last few years. Grant Mansfield, the founder of the TV production company Plimsoll, gave £50,000 earlier this year. The Tory defector Gareth Quarry, who made a fortune in recruitment, previously donated £100,000 to the Tories and has now given £100,000 to Labour. Robin McGeechy is the owner of Peak Scientific, a world leader in gas generators which formerly donated to the Tories, but has now turned its attention to Scottish Labour. Together with related companies, it has donated £400,000 to Labour. In the past, it has also given to the Liberal Democrats, putting its effort into funding pro-union parties. The German right, which campaigned on immigration fears and the economy, have increased their vote at the state elections yesterday. The far-right Alternative for Germany AfD party burst out of its post-industrial eastern strongholds to score its best-ever result in a western state. Polls showed it on course to be the second largest party in Hesse, home to the financial capital, Frankfurt. All three parties in Scholz's federal coalition, his Social Democrats, the Greens, and the Free Democrats, did worse than 5 years ago in the key states of Bavaria and Hesse, which together account for about a quarter of the German population. Analysts warned this could increase tensions in a coalition that has struggled to find common ground, with Scholz accused of failing to show the leadership needed to impose order and tackle crises from war in Ukraine to the green transition. In Hesse, the CDU were forecast to get 34.5% of the vote for the state legislature, probably allowing them to govern for another term. The SPD's 15.1%, which was down 4.7% on its 2018 results, was a blow to the Interior Minister Nancy Faeser, whose hopes to head the state were dashed by anti-immigration campaigning by opponents on the right. The CDU's sister party, the Christian Social Union, the CSU, which has run Bavaria since 1957, was projected to win 36.4% of the vote in that state, its worst results since 1950, although only a fraction below 2018's. The CSU is expected to continue its coalition with the populist Free Voters on 15.3%. They and the AfD were the only parties to make gains in the Bavaria election. The AfD was on track for 18.4% in Hesse and 16% in Bavaria, compared with 13.1% and 11.6% respectively in 2018, confirming the continued political ascendancy of a party created only 10 years ago. The nationalist, anti-migrant AfD is polling in second place nationwide, up from fifth in the 2021 election, in a shift that could make it harder for Germany to form stable majorities, given that other parties refuse to work with AfD. Scotland's new Chief Constable, Joe Farrell, promised to prioritise trust, confidence, high performance and officer and staff well-being as she took command of the National Police Service today. Chief Constable Farrell made a commitment to focus on threat, harm and risk, and on prevention and problem solving during a swearing-in ceremony at Police Scotland headquarters at Tullyallen. She also committed to prioritising the well-being of Police Scotland's officers and support staff. Chief Constable Farrell said, "I believe passionately in the value policing brings to our communities, keeping people safe from harm, protecting the vulnerable, bringing criminals to justice, solving problems and reducing offending. We stand up for and with our communities, which strengthens them, improves their well-being and allows them to prosper. My operational focus is on threat, harm and risk. Police Scotland will focus on prevention, problem solving and proactivity, and on looking after our hard-working officers and staff so people can deliver our vital public service. Police Scotland is a highly credible public sector organisation known for its compassion, and it attracts huge public support. It is a privilege to be entrusted with the leadership of so many talented, professional and courageous police officers, staff and volunteers." Chief Constable Farrell also underlined her determination to drive an anti-discriminatory agenda after former Chief Constable Sir Ian Livingstone's statement that Police Scotland was institutionally discriminatory. She said, "I know that the acknowledgement of institutional discrimination is a difficult message for many dedicated and honourable officers and staff." Ms Farrell said she agrees that Police Scotland is institutionally discriminatory and that people with different backgrounds or experiences, including officers and staff, have not always received the service that is their right. She said, "The onus is on us to challenge bad behaviour and prejudice, address gaps and eradicate bias, known or unwitting, at every level. Our Policing Together programme drives this moral, legal and operational imperative so that we maintain and build confidence with all communities." The Cabinet Secretary for Justice and Home Affairs, Angela Constance, said, "I am delighted that the new Chief Constable, Joe Farrell, has been appointed to the role. It is very clear from the rigorous selection process led by the Scottish Police Authority that she has the leadership and skills that are essential to head our National Police Service and to meet the opportunities and challenges ahead. There is much to be proud of within the UK's second biggest police service, which is in a strong place as the new chief takes up her role." She went on, "Both the First Minister and I look forward to formally welcoming the new chief. I am sure we will forge a strong partnership founded on a shared desire to continue the delivery of sustainable excellence within Scotland's police service." Chief Constable Farrell's leadership follows the retirement of Sir Ian Livingstone in August. Europe's biggest Internet of Things network will provide every school in the southeast of Scotland with advanced environmental sensors. The network is already giving thousands of students from more than 40 schools in Edinburgh, Fife, the Lothians and Borders access to the latest indoor smart technology capable of measuring CO2, humidity, light, air pressure and temperature. The £9.5 million scheme will also provide some schools with outdoor air quality monitors, soil moisture sensors and weather stations. Launched in 2019, the IoT Schools Network is currently embedded in 43 of the region's schools, doubling to 86 when all schools in West Lothian become operational in the next month, and the majority of the remaining 525 schools expect to join by the end of the current school year. It has already injected new life into science classes throughout the region and given pupils the opportunity to explore and analyse environmental data firsthand, experts have said. Each sensor is linked to a high-performance computer at Edinburgh's International Data Facility, where the data is transformed into graphs and charts that learners and teachers can readily access online. Some pupils have used the data to improve their classrooms. For example, Adderwell Primary School in West Lothian has installed a living wall with colourful plants and reduced the lighting to improve the learning environment. Empowering young people to navigate an increasingly complex digital landscape will hopefully inspire them to study STEM subjects and follow a career in data-driven industries, according to the project's leaders. The IoT Schools Network is one of more than 3,000 research ventures involved in the university's Data-Driven Innovation (DDI) programme, now celebrating its 5th year. Launched in August 2018, DDI is part of the Edinburgh and South East Scotland City Region deal and funded by the Scottish and UK governments. DDI aims to establish the region as the data capital of Europe through drawing inward investment, inspiring entrepreneurship and delivering inward economic growth. Professor Sir Peter Matheson, the Principal and Vice-Chancellor of the University of Edinburgh, said, "Data is all around us, shaping the way we live, work and engage with each other. Our goal is to make the digital sector more accessible to young people is therefore clear." The Internet of Things Schools Network aims to give pupils the confidence, competence and ambition to use data to benefit themselves and their communities in an ever-changing digital world. Today, even more schools are taking part, and by the end of this school year, we will have rolled out the project out to the vast majority of South East Scotland's local authority schools, making it Europe's largest IoT network. Staying with Edinburgh University, the university will host the UK's first next-generation supercomputer, which will be 50 times faster than any of the country's existing machines. The UK government has announced the university as the preferred location for the first phase of the exascale supercomputer, which will be able to conform 1 billion calculations each second. Once operational, it will provide high-performance computing capability for key research and industry projects. Exascale will help researchers model all aspects of the world, test scientific theories, and improve products and services in areas such as artificial intelligence, drug discovery, climate change, astrophysics, and advanced engineering. The computer, one of only a handful of its kind in the world, is funded by the Department of Science, Innovation and Technology through UK Research and Innovation. It will be managed by EPCC, the university's supercomputing centre. Exascale will be housed in a new £31 million wing of EPCC's Advanced Computing Facility, which has been purpose-built as part of the Edinburgh and South East Scotland City Region deal. This investment means Edinburgh is one of the few places in Europe able to host a computer of such enormous scale, experts have said. Installation of the first phase is due to begin in 2025. The university has been home to the UK's high-performing computer services for more than 30 years, and it hosts the country's current national supercomputer, Archer 2. Professor Sir Peter Matheson, the Principal and Vice-Chancellor of the university, said, "We are thrilled to be chosen to host this significant leap forward in the UK's supercomputing capabilities. Bringing the Exascale computer to Edinburgh is a testament to our expertise in managing such world-class facilities and the depth of global talent in computer science and AI within the university." And a new series of images by 2021's World Photographer of the Year will allow visitors to the University of Andrews Wardlaw Museum to explore a long-abandoned Scottish wilderness. The previously unseen works by renowned photographer Craig Easton are part of a new exhibition to open at the Wardlaw, exploring the tiny island of Mingalay, which was abandoned in 1912. Easton photographed the island in 2021. Easton's works are juxtaposed with those of Robert Moyes Adam, who photographed the island in 1905 and 1922, and Margaret Fay Shaw, who documented the lives of the shepherds who temporarily returned to the islands in the 1930s. Together, the three sets of images give a unique insight into the impact of human absence on landscapes, ecosystems, and culture. Laura Brown, the curator of photography at the University of St Andrews, said, "To see the work of these photographers side by side is a wonderful opportunity. Adam's work is extraordinary in covering almost every corner of the Scottish landscape, but clearly Mingalay meant a great deal to him, and he continues to inspire photographers to this day." Craig Easton, wanting to mark the centenary of Adam's final visit, took great risks to reach the island and follow in his footsteps, but with a contemporary eye. "We were delighted to acquire Craig's portfolio of the project with the generous support of the Art Fund and the National Fund for Acquisitions, and to give visitors the chance to see them for the first time." Craig Easton, who won Photographer of the Year at the 2021 Sony World Photography Awards, was inspired to embark on the Mingalay project by Robert Moyes Adams' glass plate negatives and handwritten ledgers, which are held at the University of St Andrews. The series provides an important modern environmental record of the nature reserve, highlighting environmental changes and challenges over the past 100 years. Return to Mingalay is on display at the Wardlaw Museum in St Andrews from Sunday the 8th of October until Sunday the 7th of January next year, and is accompanied by a series of free events, including a family St Andrews Day celebration of Scottish culture on Saturday the 25th of November. And that is all that we have for you this evening. In making these programmes, Broadcasting Scotland relies on the generosity of viewers and others who value our distinctive approach to news, current affairs and culture. Please help us to continue to make these programmes, to continue to develop the station and to make new programmes for you. Our programmes will always be free to view, but if you can afford £5 a month, please consider becoming a Broadcasting Scotland supporter. Our need to reach our £30,000 target to pay our bills is still pressing. However, the generosity of our supporters has given us a little more time. So far, we have raised over £18,600 and we will be able to continue to make programmes for a few more weeks. But our need to raise the remaining £11,400 is still really urgent. To everyone who has donated and everyone who has signed up to make a regular monthly payment as a Broadcasting Scotland supporter, thank you very much. There are other ways in which you can contribute to our work. If you would like to volunteer to work with Broadcasting Scotland, either behind the scenes or in front of the cameras, or in any other way that helps our work, then please visit our website at www.broadcastingscotland.scot and send us a message there. You can find us on Twitter and Blue Sky at BroadcastScot. Please like and retweet us there. And you can also find us on Facebook by searching for Broadcasting Scotland. When you're watching us on YouTube, it would be great if you would like and subscribe to Broadcasting Scotland on that platform. We will be back at 7 p.m. sharp tomorrow evening for the next edition of Scotland at 7, so please come and join us then. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who has been watching us this evening and apologise again for our late start. On this day in 2004, our new Scottish Parliament building was opened at Holyrood. After the Stussy at the time, everyone seems pretty happy with the building now. Please look after yourselves and please have a very peaceful evening. Bye-bye.